Hey everyone. We at Group 1 wrote the story of Rising Choir, a symphony of clashing voices, and we have two key technological advancements. First one being voice, a tool which basically allows you to pull billions of preferences. So instead of the political compass you might have today, the global preference space might look more like this. And that has led to a lot of advancements, which Maria will talk about on the society level in a moment. And the other thing, we just have humanoid robots, about 20 billion by the year 2045. And this is a log scale. It basically goes exponential. Maria, do you want to take it from here? What were the implications of these two things?
Yeah. So several implications for each of the two technologies that we presented. First, the robots, having them at home will liberate a lot of time for the people to enjoy and have fun and meet friends, family. So quality time for the people. And having them working will increase the productivity. So that will lead to a surplus and less need for the people to work worldwide. And then regarding voice, what we think is that it will increase the awareness of the diversity and will contribute to increased acceptance. That we consider that this is the key of all the problems, wars, and issues that we have in the society and also at the international level. And also it will help to increase the participation of the citizens in the decision-making process, and that will help to improve the quality of the decisions and also the quality of life of the citizens. I don't know if you want to add something. Word of time.
That's a great summary.
You managed to finish early.
I cannot go ahead. Like on the other side, like a few general things, but say basic universal compute has become something like a human right, because to participate in the modern society, you need to have that. We also had a robot act because of a terrorist attack, which prevents robots from being updated over the cloud, creating new jobs, such as a calibrator, like Sophia is in our story in A Day in the Life. And yeah, a lot of things followed from these ideas. Like there was the first global votes where, say, everyone in the world was for the first time polled on something that resulted in a policy. And all kinds of societies have informed some version of universal basic income because they are flourishing. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, I realized I forgot to introduce our judges who are also joining this call. So we have Emilia and Anthony from FLI, and we also have Christine, who's the co-founder of Foresight. And so maybe you guys, when you give your comments, because you've already had access to all these worlds and you've had a look at them, so maybe you can also just introduce yourself with one sentence. And yeah, who of the judges would like to go first? Christine.
Hi, I'm Christine Peterson, co-founder of Foresight Institute. And my comments on Group 1, I was very impressed with this proposal. I found the vision inspiring. I particularly liked the level of transparency in government. As I read this and tried to figure out, okay, what is underlying this whole scenario, the thought occurred to me is, oh my gosh, this is actually open source government. That I find super exciting. Because improving government is key to all global challenges. I think we all would agree on that. Two other things I liked about this particular proposal is it addressed computer security issues, which we at Foresight feel are very important, and also the challenges of online identity, which is also super critical. Yeah, very impressed.
Thank you.
Anthony, Executive Director and one of the founders of the Future of Life Institute. And I'm super excited to see all this happening. I've been excited about world building since our first meeting in 2018, that a couple of you at least were at. And yeah, World 1, I really like the idea of the voice sort of system. It feels like so much of such a big problem currently that there aren't good ways of aggregating information and preferences. At best, people get to give one bit of information every few years, and this is just not enough to run a society on. And this is something that is totally doable with AI that's not AGI, like some of these other proposals. You can easily imagine how at least a prototype of a system like this could be set up. And so there are lots of pieces I liked about it, but as the judges have been discussing, and maybe we'll say more about this later, just the ability to coordinate is something that AI really can help with without being like AGI that goes and does everything for us. AI that can help us like bring our voices forward and make decisions better. So I loved seeing that in this proposal or world.
Hi, I'm Amelia Jaworski. I direct the Futures program at FLI and want to echo the sentiment of Christine and Anthony on the voice system and having, as Anthony put it beautifully, more than one bit every few years, ability to articulate preferences. I also felt that this was one of the more positive and well thought through visions of humanoid robots I've seen in quite sort of a while. And there's many sort of articulations of our future where everyone has a humanoid robot or they're ubiquitous in society. But I thought this was one that was one of the more positive ones that I was like, I could get behind that future.
Thank you. Great. I am pushing forward. So group 2, are you ready to present?
Howdy.
Great. Okay, I'm starting the timer. You go, Peter.
Sounds good. All right, here you go. So in our vision of the future, we wanted to focus on, first off, some very similar stuff to group 1. We were assigned them for a red teaming exercise. And when me and Aaron were talking about our 2 visions, we were like, these would actually be better if they like work together, maybe. We have a lot of overlap and a lot of considerations. But for our vision, we wanted to focus on what is the impact of the internet going to be going forward. So the internet is still relatively new. And in the next 20 years or so, we think that even more multinational institutions, even more individuals will want to have their voices heard on the internet and will want to take advantage of things like decentralized currencies. And so our vision, which was governance without borders, is based around the idea that we can use the internet and new currency based on carbon capture technologies to create a universal basic income for everyone in the world, freeing them from the need to work. But also, we focused very closely on the education, on the use of the internet for democratic debates. And in our timeline, we discussed some of the specific technologies that we thought could be acquired by a single multinational to allow these, either in the form of an outright acquisition or a licensing scheme. It's basically the idea that Khan Academy is writ large, localized using AI, and all of a sudden available to the whole world. And we're looking at some of the impacts that we think that might cause long term, which are a more educated public is involved in democratic debates. It talks about technology and technological development and technological deployment. Just to say that this isn't like an absolutely perfect future, we do say that certain repressive governments will probably opt out or force their citizens to opt out. However, in our view, the multinational just creates an account for every living person into which their UBI is distributed. And we think that this would, overcome a few of the major issues with UBI, with identity, and with repressive countries trying to pull their people out of it, because it would create a counter incentive for those people to try and opt back in or try and get their governments to allow them to opt back in. Kevin, did you have anything you wanted to add? I know you're here as well.
And we want to really emphasize the fact that we're talking about governance here, and we're not talking about government per se. So we conceptualize governance as a way of creating norms, creating institutions, voluntary institutions, that are created by conversations between civil society, by public sector actors, by private sector actors, and by the interested public as well. So democratic governance is another one of our values. And we're hoping that through education and human development, an educated and interested public who is free from the need to work and who are able to have more of an interest in these things are able to participate.
Great.
Thanks. That's our time.
Wrapping up. And do our judges want to, Christine?
Absolutely. Yeah. I found this world also highly inspiring, in particular, the vision of this public involvement. And initially I was thinking, gosh, are people really going to want to be that involved? Are people that public spirited? But then I realized, no, they really are. Because when I was a kid, the tradition was if you were a responsible citizen, you read the newspaper, preferably more than one. So you got multiple views. This was normal. This was average human behavior, and this was normal. So then it became television news. Then it became reading things on the internet. And now, of course, it's social media. And people they care intensely and they're trying to participate. It's just not working. In fact, it's causing problems, but we all know it doesn't need to be that way. With the proper systems, the proper software, it could help us find commonalities rather than continual division. So I do agree that people want this level of involvement. It's just not working. So yes, a better system could make all the difference. Thanks.
Yeah, I agree with that. I like this vision, as with some of the other ones of, it used to be that if you wanted a new governance system of the world, the only thing to do is take over the rest of the world and start invading other countries. This time, mostly, hopefully this passed. This is not the way we're thinking anymore. But then how do you improve things? Like the idea of having a different layer, like the countries still have their governments and still have their local processes and things, but there's an extra layer of coordination or, other things that are happening on a global level that are acting somewhat supplementary and somewhat orthogonally to the existing governance institutions. Means you don't have to destroy the existing ones. You just add something that is, different and better that people can opt into, and that gives them something that they really want in return. And I really like that vision. It's something we haven't really tried. We've put new layers on, like the social media layer, but it doesn't actually try to do any governance. It's just trying to make money for a certain, like, social media companies. That's its goal, rather than like actually trying to be a governance layer, taking the place of a governance layer without being one. So yeah, I really like this vision and thought that it came through really nicely.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'd add to Anthony's point on an additional layer. I also like that provides a sort of collective leverage over existing governance institutions in a very sort of new format that I think is very interesting and empowering. And to Christine's point on engagement, I think another factor in the waning of civic engagement has been a waning and feeling of agency over outcomes and feeling like what you do is actually having impact. And so this type of system that is much more direct, much more clear in eliciting preferences and correlating those preferences to outcomes, I think is something that you would see a renaissance in civic engagement if people felt more empowered that their decisions would have impact.
Thank you.
Wonderful. Great work. Great. Group 3. Do we have anyone from group 3 who's ready to present?
I suppose I can. We didn't really plan this presentation. Can I just talk? Is it okay if I don't if I don't show the...
Yeah, I'll show the title.
Yeah. All right. Our project, we have this system called Aurora, and that's also the name of our submission. And Aurora is this system that was created in the intersection of like rationalists and governance people, or people thinking about new kinds of regulatory or governance systems. I can see a theme here with the submissions, but basically Aurora is an implementation of futarchy. So it combines prediction markets and direct democracy. And it has been able to revolutionize decision-making because it makes use of collective intelligence to such a good degree. One of the key points of it is there is like AI facilitated prediction markets. And so the prediction market combined with this kind of new predictive AI makes the prediction market even more powerful than current day prediction markets, which has been able to improve decision-making in a lot of different governments, especially in the African continent. First, it gained very high rates of use, and it really improved decision-making and policy and governance in Africa, and then was able to create financial benefits. So the users had incentives to also come online, and they started using it as a voting method. So you get the direct democracy system there as well. I feel like, Kenza, do you want to talk about the health impacts of the project?
After implementing the system, some of the most immediate impacts were the focus on improving the bioeconomy, and especially in the African continent, it seemed that people want to have more ownership over their health. And so one of the first effects of this was like large investments in the bioeconomy. And we see these new kind of cities pop up that are the new Silicon Valleys for biotechnology across the African continent, and newer technologies being used like gene drives to eradicate mosquito-borne illnesses. A lot of the vaccine preventable communicable diseases are eradicated by 2045. And yeah, there's more kind of an ownership over the supply chain of vaccines and things like that. So it makes it much more easier to try and fight pathogens, and people are generally healthier and happier. So that's one of the first effects that we see of that system. Yeah, I think that's the wrap up of our world.
Great. Should we go, Christine?
Certainly. Yes, I was excited to see in this proposal that the software system people are using to interact involves a great deal of transparency. It's voluntary, of course, and also very exciting. It actually pays for participation, and it's something that I think, I had said, yes, people want to participate, but there's nothing they want to participate in more than actually getting paid for things. So I think, and in this case, it's not that they are being paid in a UBI way. They're actually being paid for information. They're contributing valuable information into the system. And that's what they're getting paid for. And it makes sense that would actually result in profits that would be able to be sent back out. I think this actually could work financially. And of course, it would be very popular if it did work. I also especially liked that it was based on a DAO, which is a very interesting governance form. And I also liked this, as well as some of the other proposals, can grow along in parallel with the existing system. They don't have to replace it. They can grow in parallel with it. So those are the things I was particularly impressed with on this proposal.
Yeah, I really liked this one a lot. There are so many things I liked about it, including, that there was a put together explanation for how things happened, like that it was able to get a hold in Africa and then spread, and that the payment system that sort of became like UBI, but not exactly UBI, that it managed to just grow, and the economic incentives were there. I love that, I'm a big prediction marketer, prediction, aggregation fan with Metaculus, and like making collective predictions and decision making is, I think, exciting to a lot of people. So great to see that sort of really fully developed. And the whole, so many things that I liked. And I liked the building up in parallel with the existing systems. There were more, and now they're slipping my mind. But yeah, just really this one, awesome job. Maybe I'll say more about it later.
Yeah, I really liked this one as well. I liked the theme that we've seen about preference aggregation and sort of new mechanisms of more direct governance. But I loved that it was coupled with tools for improving epistemics and tools for data correlation. And I think that marriage is particularly effective. And when thinking about the most effective sort of new forms of governance in the future. And I also love the origin story of playing and starting in a space where you have the latitude to leapfrog and do radically different experiments. And I think that's something we don't necessarily think about enough, is like, where is there the appetite and excitement to start playing with things that are very new and that may often not be in highly regulated, pretty incumbent Western democracies?
Oh, and I remembered one other thing that I wanted to like, which was this idea of essentially paying people to express their preferences. I think that's really important, because I think as more and more things become, doable by AI, one of the really valuable things that humans will provide is, data still, but especially data about preferences. If we actually succeed in making AI systems that are still tools and are doing things that we want them to do, a crucial thing will be, if we're making a really good world for everybody, what does that mean? What is the data that we need? That's human preference data. And that will, if we do a good job, be very valuable data, because that's the data that we're actually going to need to do that good job. So I love that sort of was what was driving the economy. And I think if we really succeed, that is what should be driving the economy in large part. And there are nice connections to the whole data dignity approach here also, where ultimately a lot of the value comes through, the provenance of the data that goes into the AI systems that are driving a lot of things. And that ends up in the humans, and the humans are getting paid for that data. Yeah, love that too.
Yeah, it was a very pretty presentation also. Great, group 4.
All right, let me share my screen. Alrighty, so we called our world build aphthonia, which is the Greek word for abundance, and our basic underlying assumption here is that technology advancements, mostly in narrow AI tools, nuclear fusion, and then material science as well, are going to bring unprecedented levels of abundance and economic growth. And our world build mostly center around how we're going to manage all those new resources to give the most people the best possible lives that they can have. I already mentioned the technologies enabling this. Another basic pillar of our world build here is collaboration, much improved collaboration between all the different actors in this sort of civilizational ecosystem. First, we have much reinforced international institutions. We mentioned, for example, the International Artificial Intelligence Agency, which would essentially help establish regulatory markets all around the world to help safety capabilities catch up with marketable capabilities, so to speak, and also help with the transfer of technical capabilities between different countries. We also have improved local autonomy, a lot more local institutions, and that improve the governance and also the democratic participation of a lot of people. And of course, we have, like other scenarios, we have value aggregating technologies to reinvigorate democracy and help people participate better and understand each other better across ideological barriers. And finally, when it comes to the economic section on its own, most of the economy is automated, but not absolutely everything. There are still some jobs that are taken by people, mostly coordinating AIs by experts. And the people who don't work, they live off of wealth redistribution, and they're focused on community and improve quality of life. Now, how did we get here? Basically, our scenario starts in the very near future when the current race to adopt AI technologies leads to some very rushed implementations and some high-profile accidents. For example, we have a massive financial crisis in China, and we also mentioned some cybersecurity accidents. But the point being that this kind of sours global public opinion on AI for a bit, and so people get together to build all these new institutions. And this also leads to radical transformations in democratic governance enabled by these technologies, which we call the Silk Revolutions here. And finally, of course, even though everything is so much better than today, there are still some challenges left to tackle for this world, such as, for example, given all this automation, some people might perceive a sort of loss of dynamism, at least temporarily, and a few other things. But overall, the zeitgeist is an excited expectation for the future and gratefulness for everything that we've done so far.
Perfect on time. Christine.
Great. Yeah. This was a very hopeful vision of what fusion could do for our economy and for our world. I had never personally thought very hard about that. And so it was super inspiring to read what a huge difference that would make. Really cheap, abundant, really clean energy. I also love the emphasis on material science. I come out of that world myself, so I think it's super important and underappreciated. So I was thrilled to see that emphasized here. Again, we see in this proposal, another theme we've seen repeatedly, which is AI helping do values aggregation to improve democracy. We see that again and again. I think it's very inspiring, it's hopeful, and I think it's realistic. I think it could actually work. So very excited to see that theme run through this world also. Another couple things I really loved about this was the charter cities mention, another favorite topic here at Foresight, as well as the home 3D recycling printer, which again, that would probably be nanotechnology based, right? Also an accurate and hopeful vision. Yeah, those are the things I like the best about this particular program.
Yeah, I liked here that I think some of the proposals took the view of AGI just fizzling or not turning out to be that useful or something. I think those are possible, but I feel like those are fairly unlikely. I think what is going to be more likely and what was put forth here was like some bad stuff is going to happen from rushing to AGI, and the world may react to that in a way that is essentially, actually, we don't really want that. We don't just want to build some super powerful centralized system that solves all our problems for us. Let's put a lid on that. And there was an on-chip, or there was a compute governance sort of system in place here, which I think we're probably going to need in the real world. And, as we've said a few times now, it's really different to see the difference between these worlds and the ones that came out of FLI's world building contest, where AGI was like all over the place and really strong. And what seems clear to me is like when you put a limit on the big centralized AGI that's doing everything for everybody, what you turn to is let's do everything for ourselves by building, using AI for coordination mechanisms and democracy, and then we can do it all. And that's just so much more inspiring and exciting to me. So it's that's been really interesting to see that in so many of these. So yeah, so very cool. This one up also.
Yeah, agree with what's been said about this world. And also that, as Anthony pointed out, the likelihood that there are some bad things that are going to happen on the trajectory of AI development is something that's quite likely. And there's a lot of ways you can go in terms of what you learn or where do you steer after a bad outcome. And I think that was something that was really inspiring about this world, was leveraging what was a change in sentiment on AI and bad outcomes to something super hopeful and still very techno-positive, and not letting those, outcomes influence other areas of technology and bleed over into sort of like a general Luddite reaction. So I think there's a lot we can learn from this world as we think towards, planning for different potential near-term outcomes in the future.
Great. We are at the final presentation, group 5.
Excellent. Yeah, I'm happy to present on behalf of Sophia and Kirill. Give me 1 second. Green show button first. I won't share in full screen mode. Can you all see?
It says loading for me.
Yeah, it does this sometimes. Okay, just give me 1 moment. It works if I don't go to full screen. You'll just get a slightly smaller versions of the slides. I've had this issue a couple times. That hopefully doesn't take too much away from the presentation, but okay. I just want to say at the beginning, our group really enjoyed working together on this. It was really a lot of fun to try to think carefully through what a positive world might look like with some basic constraints. So this was a lot of fun. We're going to talk a little bit about our Padlet, how we get to 2045, briefly chat about the daily life of Lena, who is our character, and then some of our guiding themes. We focused on a lot of governance-related things for our timeline. We have a Global AI Governance Summit in 2025, where there's improvements on standards and ethical frameworks in the development and deployment of AI systems. There's a focus here and throughout on bounded AI agent systems. And then in 2030, start seeing more universal basic income and universal basic service programs being trialed in a number of places and gaining some popularity. A little later on, we see a growing use of decentralized AI facilitated participatory democracy platforms that have been referenced by other groups. In 2036, we see a bigger ramped up treaty that focuses on safety in particular and is signed by the major world powers. AI continues to make a narrow advancements in lots and lots of fields, including clean energy, and decentralized smart grid, and AI guided precision agriculture. There's a trend here towards local communities being able to do things, local sustainability, and communities having the capability with these new tools to create most of the goods and services that they need locally. This gives rise to a focus on circular economy, where actual objects themselves retain some value and are focused on their entire life cycle. And what starts to become a post-scarcity type world, AI helps for education. And then we imagine that most people by 2045 are living in a major AI cities, but not everyone. We covered a day in the life of Lena, and these pictures map to the story. And Lila is a part of a community that has a lot of experiences both in person and in simulation, has participatory democracy things going on, has some organic farming things going on, has a rich set of community life, but also retains some norms of getting together and sharing meals. And the city also has retained important challenges. Keeping bounded AI as a backbone of the society, democratization and localization of decision-making for government institutions is another key piece that AI helps enable. And then we're on the brink of interplanetary exploration and lots of shared abundance. But challenges remain.
Thank you. Christine?
Yes, a number of things I really liked about this proposal. One is it was super clear and understandable, very hopeful vision. I also really like the day in the life scenario. I thought, oh, this is a day in the life I actually would enjoy living myself. Other points I particularly liked were mentioning the precision agriculture. I think that needs to happen. It's very important. and bringing more production more locally and sustainably. I think that's got to happen, and this included that. And finally, again, we see that theme that we've seen running through so many of these of the decentralized participatory democracy, increased transparency of government, using AI to aggregate citizen preferences. And I liked the mention in this proposal that I didn't necessarily see elsewhere of holding leaders accountable. Yes, let's try to do that. So many things I liked about this one. Thank you.
Yeah, I'd second all of those, and I'd add I really like this vision of the bounded AI agents, where the sort of general AI is providing a sort of base system one psychology, and then they have a specialized system two, which is then presumably also built more for like reliability and accuracy and all those things that language models aren't super great at the moment, or general purpose AI systems aren't as great at the moment. So having that sort of human-ish level, but much more effective at their particular domains and super high expertise and useful and reliable, I think that's just a really nice model to work towards without going to the AGI and super intelligence.
Yeah, I strongly agreed with what, again, Anthony and Christine have both shared. I like the specialist model that Anthony is alluding to, of AI having very highly specific capabilities as opposed to having a bunch of generalist systems. Same reason you need a mix of both in science. You need a mix of both to make AI really be able to transform society. And also to Christine's point on the precision agriculture, I have a soft spot every time we remember the natural world and bring that into these different visions of the future. And I think that there's, a lot that AI can do in that domain. And so it was great to see that included in this application.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for the feedback.
Great. And that is all our worlds presented. I think just before we announce the winner, because we actually do have the results already, so excited to announce it. Emilia, if you would want to say a few words, because I know that FLI, you're running the Futures program at FLI, and I think that's a really interesting one to keep an eye on if you're interested in actually like maybe trying to realize a few of these things that you have been thinking up in this course.
Yes, thank you, Futures. I think in terms of FLI, I think we're probably best known for our work on mitigating risks of emerging technology, but we've always been founded since our inception to steer away from risk and towards benefit. And so what the Futures program is focused on is that other piece of how do we realize positive futures with technology. And this world building competition builds on work we did with our world building contest. Is we really can't build futures that we can't imagine. And so starting to imagine positive futures and where we want to go, where we want to steer the ship is a big part of it. So the Futures program is currently working across different domains. So one is the envisioning piece of it and storytelling piece around imagining positive futures. And then also, how do we think about getting there? So what are the institutions that we need to get us there? What are the technologies we need to get us there? What are the policies? So we're taking a holistic approach to steering our ship towards a more sort of positive, flourishing future for humanity, but also all life on this planet. That's also why we're the Future of Life Institute and not necessarily just the Future of Humanity Institute. So we're really excited to see these positive visions that have come out of this competition. They were all fabulous and would be really excited to continue to follow up with those of you that are interested in continuing to diligence this kind of work. And please also do keep an eye out for the different types of activities that we do. We just ran a request for proposals on AI institution design, as well as AI in the SDGs, and intend on doing more of those in the future. Definitely keep an eye out. And if you have any questions or are interested in learning more about the program, feel free to reach out to me. I'm just Emilia@futureoflife.org.
Thank you so much, Emilia. And thank you, FLI, for making this course possible. You guys really, thank you so much for funding it and for helping judge it and everything. Great. I think we're at the time when we're going to announce the winner. I guess, drum roll. In third place, we will be giving out 3 awards. And in third place, we have group number 5. It's a little bit, I wish we were in reality doing this. Anticlimactic.
Thank you. Yay.
Congratulations. And
Thank you.
great. Great work. We'll coordinate by email. You have a little award to collect. And then in second place, we have world number 1. Congratulations. Again, really great work. And also, we'll be in touch. And then we have the final winner, who hopefully will meet you in person at Vision Weekend, and you'll get to come and present your world, is group number 3, the Orari world. Congratulations. Yeah, overall, I want to say, like, really impressed with your guys' work, and I'm so grateful that you really chipped into this course and, yeah, been there for, you know, all the lectures and even like the extra office hours and everything like that. And yeah, really showing up. So thank you so much. And thank you so much to our judges. I don't know if you want to say anything before I let the judges go. I do want to keep all the participants because I have a bit like a final exercise that's just like a reflection exercise for you to do over this whole course, to like think about what you learned. And then also, you know, me, I always also want to collect some feedback from you. Yeah, but I will let the judges go now unless you guys want to say anything, final words.
I do want to say something important, which is so much thanks to you, Beatrice, and to Allison. Like, I know this was an experiment, but obviously it was a successful one. It seems like you did just a fantastic job from where I'm sitting. The proof is in the pudding with these great outputs. And I wasn't here to see it, but I'm sure it was really great. And the class is very lucky to have had you.
Thank you so much, Anjali. I have to say, on my end, it's also been like a whirlwind of an exercise. Thank you so much, Beatrice, for creating all the course documents. And I learned a lot from every participant. I loved that we did the technology primers. I loved all of the individual project presentations that came in, and like the different technology and progress presentations and bed teaming presentations. I had a really great time. And thank you so much for dedicating so much of your guys' week time to this. And the last one, the Orari world, I don't know if everyone has checked it out, but I really encourage you to check out their website. I just posted this here in the chat. It's absolutely amazing. But every single world that I looked at, I really loved it. I could really see myself living in there, and I think it was really intricately designed. So thank you so much for everyone for putting such an incredible amount of work into it. It really showed. We're pretty blown away. Thanks.
Yeah, I should say I was amazed at the quality of all of the worlds. I was blown away. And what I would love to see is all of them had some unique and wonderful characteristics. And what I would love to see is, can we take the very best of each of the 5 and merge them into one wonderful world? And I would find that too. They're all inspiring now, but I would just be, my head would explode from that. I'm just stunned by the quality of the work, you guys. Just all 5 of these were great.
Very much echoing. Great. You guys
Thanks,
are free to go. Participants,
Bye
stay.
bye.
Judges.
Thank you.
So
I do want to say maybe just one more point on the project. We really want to hear from you. If you're interested in, you know, creating media pieces around this, if you're interested in really showing these worlds in ways that they can inspire others, please let us know. You know, there's small monetary awards attached to each of the 3 winning worlds, but for all of you, you know, we would really love to know how we can help you show these worlds and get them out there, because I think that reading them, like, I think we need much better positive envisionings of the future. And this is like really well done, super, I think, scientifically and technologically accurate. And we would love to help you guys get them out there. So if you have any ideas for how we can best support you, please let us know. We have a few of our own, and we'll share a little bit more about that later. But this is definitely not the end of the road if you don't want it to be.
yeah, I think definitely for the winners, just logistical information, I will coordinate with you over email. And in terms of showcasing the worlds, I think I didn't want to promise everyone that we would show the worlds on the Existential Hope website because I wanted to see what quality the worlds were first, but I feel very comfortable putting them on there. So I think we're definitely going to post all of your worlds on the website. And I think that's going to be, you know, one way of showcasing them. But if you have other ideas also, we'd love to hear them. And as a final exercise for this course, I would really love it if you could fill in this form. I'm going to sit here in this Zoom and just quietly until you all filled it in. It is an Airtable form and I dropped it in the chat. Let me know if you have any issues accessing it. And once you filled it in, you're free to drop And yeah, it's been a pleasure having you. And thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you very much for organizing this. And yeah, hope to hear from everyone soon again.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you so much. This was a lot of fun. It was nice doing this with everyone. Thanks to Beatrice and Allison for leading the trip. Y'all did wonderful yet again. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. It was great. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Maria. Bye.
Bye.
Did you guys, for those that are maybe already done, have a chance to look at the other worlds? Because if you haven't, I would really encourage you to. It was the highlight of my week, reading all of the worlds. It was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I also recommend it. And you have all of them. Maybe I'll share them in the WhatsApp chat as well, the folder with them.
Allison, Beatrice, I have some ideas about other ways to design and think about a world building course with some future history literature. I've wrote up some things I might send along with just some ideas for y'all to consider for next iteration. This was a lot of fun. Thank you so much.
Sounds good.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Is there, I guess you've already said this on the participant form, but for those who are done, is there like one specific thing in the last 4 minutes that you really, what was your favorite session? I guess that would be really interesting to know from me. Did you have one? Like your favorite part of this, even if it was like collaboration amongst all of you?
Yeah, I really enjoyed the guest speakers. I learned a lot from folks that I should have known more about and didn't. And so I follow several of them on Twitter now, and I think they had really useful insights all the way throughout from the beginning to end. So I really enjoyed that. And then I really enjoyed the time in the group with the kind of discussing both in the bigger group and in smaller groups, like what our worlds look like and trying to actually visualize them and push back on parts that were realistic or not and check our assumptions. That building exercise was a lot of fun. And I usually thinking about catastrophic and existential risk. And so it's quite nice to focus on hopeful scenarios. Maybe that helps.
Anyone else a highlight or something that your favorite session also?
For me, it was the Robert Lampert one that was specifically on world building. Just because I wanted to learn more specifically about that.
I also really liked the Robert Lampert one. I thought especially his report, gave just a step-by-step way of actually doing the world build. And it really clarified why the questions were there, like why we had to do a short story piece. And it was really good.
Okay. Take care, everyone. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
We'll follow up with all of you with follow-ups, I guess. We want to do more of these world builds. Maybe it's focused on specific aspects or something. And so it would be really awesome to learn more from you. And if anyone is interested in joining a future one, it would be really great to have you. Now you know exactly how to do it.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone. And thank you, Beatrice and Allison. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you, Kevin. Have a good one.
Thanks, everyone, for the awesome world builds, and Beatrice and Allison for putting this together.
Thank you, Jose.
Loved your presentation.
Yeah. Definitely.
Hey, I have a quick question. So you said that the winners would be going to the Vision Weekend 2024, but I think there are two. So which one would it be?
Yeah, so that's definitely something that I'll reach out to coordinate. But I think you're in Europe.
I'm in Europe. I think Kenza is in US.
Yeah, my standard thinking was that if you're in Europe, you go to the Europe one. If you're in the US, you go to the US one. But we could, see what makes most sense.
Okay, all right. I was just checking too.
Yeah,
it could be really fun to have you tag team and go to different ones, so you can both present them at the respective Vision Weekends.
Yeah. And if you haven't checked out the Vision Weekends yet, I'll send them here in the chat. The one in Europe is all in July, and the one in US is in December.
Okay, I'm still filling out the form, but I think I will be finishing it up soon. Thank you so much. It was a lovely course.
Thank you.
Thank you. I also have to bounce, but it was really nice to meet all of you and spend so much time with you virtually. I have a blast. Thanks.